and Gameaholic. This should be a lot of fun. It's possible that we could end up with some guests during this commentary, so you might not be stuck with just me the entire time. Lucky for you. And we're off. All right. Both runners starting out in Series Station, per the usual. I don't remember about Dab, because I have remained willfully ignorant about anything associated with Dab. But for the other four more, I guess, common or speedrun style categories, the only one that doesn't start in Series Station in this tournament is Mini Boss RTA. So if it's GT Classic, any percent, or Hundo, you will always see the blue station here with Ridley. MakoBytes doing a nice job getting hit 5 times to send Ridley off. I'm not sure exactly what happened with why Gameaholic or Mako, they seem to be, you know, pretty far apart in terms of the beginning, which that doesn't come really from just execution or anything. I think Gameaholic might have accidentally started a bit late, unfortunately. But Mako with the incredibly nice 44.72 series time. Well done. Gameaholic now making his way into the final room. Gonna hop on up here to the top and get out of series just fine. So, I'm not exactly the most expert of people when it comes to 100% item collection, but from my understanding, there are basically kind of 2 routes that people will typically take. I assume that both of these runners will probably take the sort of more friendly route. It's the same one that I run, where you do early Crocomire and early Grapple. If you go early Crocomire and get Grapple Beam, this means that when you get to Spring Ball, you can use your Grapple Beam to break the block and head up to Spring Ball. If you do late Crocomire and wait until you have Plasma Beam after you're done with Lower Norfair, then you have to do an ice clip into Spring Ball, which can be very tricky. I believe it's like a 1-frame window or something like that. It's very tough. So I think you'll probably see more runners in this tournament elect to do the more traditional route, and that's what I assume both of these players will do. And get hype, ladies and gentlemen, the first of 100 times that the game will have to pause to play a fanfare on Mako's screen. 1 down, 99 to go. Apparently there is a third route in construction right now using a hot new tech that all the cool kids are doing called Moon Dance. But I am so old and would prefer that you stay off my lawn that I will refuse to talk about it. Thank you. Mako now heading back up. You will see a very traditional start here. They're just going to grab their alpha missiles, which Gameaholic just collected. Mako already has his. They're going to head up to bombs. And then the first time you will see this category sort of take a divergence from, you know, every other category is when they get their opening early supers mock ball. After they collect the supers at the top of the room like normal, they will then backtrack through the room to get the reserve tank and 2 extra missile packs in the room to the right. And then they'll also grab 1 final missile pack underneath the bridge. So that'll be the first time you kind of start seeing things be a little bit different than any percent or GT Classic or any of the other categories. Looks like I have been joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Maniacal. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Sorry, I'm a few minutes behind. Kip, how are you doing?
Oh, it's no problem, man. I'm doing great. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. When you mentioned that you wouldn't mind helping me with this 100% commentary, I was relieved because you know way more about 100% than I do. So I'm really glad to have you here.
It sounds like you were holding it down okay. I got to listen to a couple minutes early. I just commentated a match over on one of the other channels with Black Elite John and Crokemeyer on Mini Boss RTA. And you definitely know more Mini Boss RTA than I do, but I think you know more Hundo than I do too.
I wouldn't go that far, but I was able to cover Hundo all the way through the climb, so I think I got at least that far. I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it hasn't diverged from any percent quite yet.
That's right.
Hasn't diverged from Mini Boss yet either, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I guess for what it's worth, it hasn't diverged from anything.
Series.
Right, that's true. So
I guess it immediately diverges from Mini Boss, but you know.
That's true. So Mako now finishing his BT fight, Gameaholic grabbing bombs. And now they're going to do the same thing they would do in other categories. They're just going to head up here. They'll either get an Alcatraz or go out the right side. And after that, they'll head down to Green Brinstar.
And I guess I see requests for talking about the meme route. I guess that would be the Moon Dance early ice route.
I already covered it. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say.
And by covering it, I said that I would never talk about it.
Oh, okay. I could try. I routed out the Moon Dance early ice route, and I tried it. But Moondance really hurt my hand, is basically what it came down to.
Sure.
Those inputs were not easy, and doing it 176 times in a row just hurt.
Yeah, I can imagine. So one thing you just saw Mako do in the pirate room right before you head to G4 over there, he took damage from all of the pirates, which is sort of an any percent old route and Hundo thing. A lot of other categories, a lot of times people will shoot the pirates to maintain some health because of concerns about fighting Phantoon early or other reasons depending on the category. But here there's really no reason to be concerned about your health.
Yeah, because of how 100% routes out, runners are going to do your sort of traditional KPDR type routing. And so that coupled with them needing to grab all of the E-tanks, they're going to have plenty of opportunities to fill up their health.
Absolutely. It does look like Gameaholic is electing to shoot them anyway, which is perfectly fine. Just kind of pointing out that technically you're probably not in quite as much danger if you elect not to in this particular category because, like you mentioned, you're not going to necessarily fight anything immediately that's going to be super dangerous to you.
Yeah, realistically, the danger in this category, as far as actually dying, only extends maybe the first 25-ish minutes of the run. I guess maybe up to about 30, depending on how long it takes for early grapple if you're going up to kill Phantoon. But once you're through that wrecked ship spike room, and we'll get to talk about that one soon, it's pretty cozy, which is part of what I really like about 100%.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about how it's very heavily movement based and clearly every single category is movement based, but I think what they really mean is that there's not nearly as much sort of management of like ammo and health in larger portions of the run than some of the other categories. And so really when people have good Hundo times, it's because they're really executing strats, as opposed to getting lucky RNG or something like that.
Yeah, and that's part of what drew me to 100% when I was first learning the game, was just the idea that I would, even if it was crappy, be able to complete the run more frequently than not. And so there are a lot of opportunities to just, bash through and finish the run.
Right.
And so I'll point out Gameaholic, I believe one of the newer entrants in the tournament. I don't know if you kind of talked about this. I think really just learning Super Metroid fairly recently.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see newer players come in and be willing to compete. This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple new players in this tournament, and props to them for, signing up and showing up and competing like this, nailing the early supers mock ball and getting all the items. I mean, even learning where all 100 items in this game are is a challenge.
I completely agree, and I will tell you what, I have had many hundo runs that did not end with 100 items collected. So this is definitely not an easy thing. One thing about this category, I mean, I know you get used to the route, but one thing about it that makes it different from the other ones is that it's very easy to just accidentally forget an item. You don't really ever accidentally forget an item in any other category, you know what I mean? Because they're so essential to your run. But here, it's not uncommon to just, whoops, you accidentally forgot to grab Kraid missiles or something like that.
Yeah, the only thing at all like that is I've seen runners, quote unquote, accidentally forget something like Botwoon E-Tank in any percent and just blow right by it and just go into Dragon with lower health anyway.
Yeah, I've done that before. I remember one time I was trying to do my initial Shine Spark, and after my initial Shine Spark on Dragon, I started beeping, and I was like, "You have got to be kidding me! Like, did I just take chain damage or something?" So,
oh man,
yeah. So this game, if you play it long enough, you'll make just about every mistake in the book.
It's true. Mako heading over for his crate entry, getting a nice, pretty quick crate entry using an angle down shot for that super.
Yeah, very nice.
Has his Spazer, so was able to kill that little wall frog there. Forget what they're actually called.
One thing is it. Man, I don't remember the names of many of the creatures. Is it Gila or something like that? Or am I just making that up?
Oh, that's something. I thought Gilas were something flying, but I don't know. There's very few that I know.
Hey, I just remember Maniacal. Do you know what we're supposed to call a creature if we don't know what it is?
Frog.
There it is. All right, so he killed the frog.
Yeah, but that was a wall frog.
There you go. So one thing that I didn't point out earlier was when Mako grabbed Charge Beam, he did not grab the charge missiles, which is, a more traditional item to pick up in any percent and, some other categories. But the reason he did not pick it up yet is because it will technically be slightly faster to pick it up later when he goes back for his pink Brinstar cleanup after Wrecked Ship. So for anybody who might not be aware, do not worry. He will definitely be grabbing that item later on.
Yeah, that's one that I still tend to grab early, but that's just because I want the extra ammo for doing things like shooting worker robots and whatnot. But realistically, it's more efficient by, I think, about a second if you grab it while you're waiting for your power bomb to go off when you're headed down to get the waterway tank. Part of the early routing of this game, or the routing of 100% in this game, is that some areas you're going to need to go back through to recollect items because you have gear that you can't access them on the first time through.
Speaking of which, a perfect example of that is the room that Gameaholic is in right now. There is a missile pack in that wall up there to the right, and runners cannot grab it until they have some power bombs. So traditionally in this in the route that I think they're going to be running here, a lot of times people will grab that on their way to Lower Norfair after they finish with Meridia. And sometimes people even elect to wait until after Lower Norfair, but either way, they have to wait until they're done with all the Meridia stuff.
Yeah, that's one more example of a place that you're kind of passing by, 3 times over the course of the game once you're coming in to kill Kraid. Some runners will choose to go up Red Tower to get the Alpha Power Bombs and the missiles behind them early so that they don't need to re-enter Kraid's lair.
That's a great point. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's probably faster to not do that. But at the same time, if it protects you from forgetting, then it's certainly a good call.
Yeah, I'd say there are some other rooms where there are advantages to doing that. Like you save a little bit of time in the room before high jump boots right here that we see MakoBytes going into by being able to sort of blow right by this Sova, not shoot the door open on the entry, and then power bomb in midair as you jump out of the room on the way back. But because he doesn't have power bombs, he doesn't have that strat available.
Can you still do that in 100% though? Don't you have to go up and get the missile pack?
Yeah, he that's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
you.
He would
Oh,
be
I get it.
jumping up
Yeah,
to get the missile, lay the power bomb in toward the wall, and it would hit.
I feel you.
It would blow out the blocks that he's going to have to bomb, and kill the Sova.
That makes sense. I was thinking
actually a
about
pretty
new
cool
route. Yeah, I was thinking about like new route where you go like and jump up the little crevice at the bottom.
Yeah, that because you need those missiles, not an option for Hundo, as you pointed out. But there are still cool things you can do with power bombs in that room.
Absolutely. So Mako, after collecting high jump boots and the high jump boots E-Tank, now going to make his way over to Bubble Mountain. One interesting thing there's a lot of players in the chat right now who have run a lot of Hundo and know a lot about it, but for anybody who maybe is new or doesn't know a ton about Super Metroid, there are kind of 3 main rooms in the Bubble Mountain region that are, I guess Bubble Mountain's sort of like a hub for 3 other areas where you can collect items. They will only be collecting items from 2 of the 3 at the moment, and they will save the other last one until after they're done with Lower Norfair. It's just a lot faster when you have like, Space Jump and, some other items. And Spring Ball, actually, there's a really cool strat for coming out of the Bubble Mountain Reserve Room with Spring Ball. So they're going to wait to grab those items until way later in the run.
Yeah, and I'll point out that we just saw Mako grab the Cathedral missiles out of the lava. That is one of the items that is most easy to forget for most runners in 100%. I know I've had a 99% on the back of that item already.
Yeah, you know what? I would assume that would be, I'm sure there have been a lot of people who have casually gotten 100% on their first playthrough because they just spent, a ton of time looking for stuff. But I bet that's one of the trickiest ones to find.
Honestly, everything is second to Mama Turtle missiles to me.
Yeah, that's true.
That is the one item that is pretty much impossible to find casually.
Yeah, somebody, you mentioned it in commentary on a race I was watching the other day about how the reason it's difficult to find it casually is because, most people are using X-Ray, and there's nowhere to stand in that category to use X-Ray except for if you stand on Mama Turtle, which apparently there was a while back I heard about a person playing it casually that actually did that and found them, and I was really impressed.
Oh man, that's a clip that moment right there. If I've ever seen one, someone casually finding the Mama Turtle missiles.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It just the level of bemusement and frustration with what Deer Force did in this game,
yeah,
would be unparalleled. And Gameaholic also remembering the Cathedral missiles as MakoBytes makes his way over to Wave Beam. So far, MakoBytes getting all the items that he quote-unquote should be getting. Remembered speed missiles, that's another one that some folks have forgotten.
Yeah, luckily Mako remembered that one. I will say this about the Cathedral missiles, like we talked about how there's not a ton of danger in this category, but there are a lot of rooms in 100%, especially rooms that, or items that you don't normally collect in other categories, that require some really tough tech to be able to pick up the items quickly. And those Cathedral missiles are pretty tough for me.
Yeah, it's really easy to lose 5, 10, 15 seconds in that room, which is a ton of time for a room that looks on the surface fairly simple.
Yeah. So Mako now has collected his Wave Beam and Wave Missiles, and now what he's going to do is head to Crocomire. So he'll fall down right here, just like an old route. And instead of going all the way back through Frog Speedway, or Frogway, he will instead head down to use his Wave Beam on the blue gate, and head on over to everybody's favorite Super Metroid pet, Crocomire.
I'll point out that this does lock MakoBytes in to the early grapple or early croc route. If he was going to do early ice, he would have gone straight across there and run back through that Frog Speedway. And so we'll see. I'm pretty sure we're going to see Gameaholic also go for that that early croc. So I think we're going to see the runners do basically the same thing throughout this game. And so it's really going to be an execution battle.
Yeah, Gameaholic with the really nice getting the door open with Spazer coming out of the speedway there. That can be really tough to do sometimes because Spazer, if you don't fire it at the right time, can hit those bats that are on the ceiling. So that was a really nice job of him maintaining his speed through the door and then using his blue suit to kill those bugs.
Yeah, I still bonk that door probably 40% of the time. Like,
yeah, it's tricky, man.
It's really...
And now, unfortunately, Crocomire has fallen into the acid.
Yeah, get those Cheaty Myers or Croc-Z's or Deer Crocs or whatever your favorite Crocomire emote is in the chat. Some support for MakoBytes and soon for Gameaholic.
What I want to know is, we've got a lot of prodigies in this tournament, and a lot of people have been inventing some really cool stuff. Like, we've seen new strats invented for Mini Boss RTA since the start of this tournament. One thing that has been invented in this tournament that I was not expecting is a new 100% route that actually skips the missiles after Grapple Beam. The one and only Elminster RTA invented a route where he skips those and then comes back to them later after Lower Norfair. So we'll see if Mako or Gameaholic elects to run that route here today.
Yeah, we were debating on the name of that room last night, actually. And we weren't sure what to call it. I think there was an equal number of folks in the sign room versus cosine room contingents. I don't know if you have a strong opinion.
I don't. I'm not going to express any kind of strong opinion in the Super Metroid community other than my distaste for Moondance and Moonfall.
Mako running into the bugs there on that short charge, but looks good for his jump up to grapple, and not quite getting the speedball through the door, but getting through cleanly.
All right, let's see if Mako's going to attempt the Indiana Jones here.
Looks like he's taking a pass on it. He fooled me for a second. I thought he was going to menu to it and give it a go.
Oh, no.
Oh. Or...
Okay, is he going to head up to it? Maybe he's going to go backwards. Or wait, no, you can't do that. I was already thinking about the grapple room.
So yeah, Mako...
Yeah, I hope he remembers.
Right now is running 99%. So we'll see when he chooses to patch that item back in. And Gameaholic now on to his Crocomire fight. Needs to be careful. Thankfully has some reserves. But hopefully Croc will back up and let Gameaholic have that health. No.
After last night's match between Sloters and Fuzda, a lot of people have been accusing me of commentary cursing people, so I think I shouldn't have made the Elminster RTA joke, because I think it just impacted Mako. Oh, luckily he remembers. Okay.
Gameaholic in the fight of his life with Crocomire right now.
Yeah, and that can be hard, because the hitbox is really tough to hit with Spazer.
Okay, so far so good. Just a couple more.
Okay, hopefully he will...
Oh no.
Oh boy. Oh. Like a champ. Gameaholic. Nice, dude.
Nailed it.
I was never worried.
I was very worried the entire time. Like, not even gonna play. But yeah, Gameaholic has made it through the Croc fight, and I think at the same time we saw Mako go back down and get those missiles there.
He did, so he's still on pace for 100%. Feels good, man. Whoa,
Whoa!
nice. Gameaholic with the sweet spark over to the first power bomb pack. Dude, that was like the perfect height for that door.
Yeah,
Well done, man.
that was mid-air, like no visual cue setup that I'm aware of. Like that was just straight through. Man,
That was hype, dude.
yeah, it was.
Like, part of the reason I find that so cool is because I literally, like, no exaggeration, I miss that over 50% of the time. So, good job, man.
Yeah, I like will run into the door, I'll goop the spark, or there's so many different things. I'll spark into the pillar. It's not an easy spark.
Not at all. Mako, speaking of sparks, Mako was going for the Alpha Spark there. Wait, is that the name of it?
Yeah, that was Alpha Spark.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I forget some of the names sometimes, but unfortunately just barely missed the jump, and then, you know, it's kind of hard to recover from that spark once you fall down, because as you try to jump up, a lot of times you'll just spark into the ceiling.
Yeah, and Gameaholic, remembering to get the missiles on the first pass here, going to make up a little bit of time. And getting the wall jump up, not doing Indiana Jones, just taking it easy.
Good job, and Mako getting up red tower as well, so good job there.
Yeah, I do not have a good red tower strat for charge wave spazer.
Yeah, I actually make a point whenever I run Hundo, if I can get Alpha Spark, and even if I don't, I will try to turn off spazer before I get to red tower, just so I can use wave beam, and that feels more like, you know, old route 80% to me. So yeah. I haven't even worked on a strat that includes spazer in there. It seems kind of tricky to me.
Yeah, I a couple times have tried the old route any percent strat, and it doesn't work. I think maybe it could work modified with a slightly higher jump, but I've not figured something out, and I've thought about just switching over to like an X Factor Fantoon or a hybrid Fantoon, and then unequipping at some point, just dealing with the menu time.
Yeah, speaking of which, man, Gameaholic got another excellent spark there coming out of, I don't know what you call that room, the big tower that heads down to grapple, but he sparked all the way back up, so he's 2 for 2 on the swag sparks so far.
And we'll see what Swaggy's got here for the croc exit here.
So far, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, see if maybe he goes for this swag super missile shot.
Mako so far, not missing any items, has collected all 3 of the items at the top of Red Tower, and will now progress up the elevator and start heading over to kill everyone's favorite elephant ghost, Fantoon. And why don't you tell us a little bit, because you're more experienced in Hundo than I am, Maniacal. This is kind of the part of the run that is the most dangerous in terms of dying, you know, versus other categories. Once you kind of get past a lot of this section, it's really unlikely to die in this category. So can you just explain a little bit about what's happening here in Hundo and why it can be tricky?
Yeah, and I'll point out what Mako's doing right now is going over and getting the ship refill and probably a ship save. That's all a concession to how dangerous this segment can be. Thankfully, the early Croc route does get that Croc E-tank, so the runners will have 4 E-tanks and a reserve to survive. But they'll have to get through the Fantoon fight and a couple other rooms in wrecked ship going over to get right side supers from the sort of robot and spike room, and then also going and doing the left side supers, maybe doing some spark deboosts and things, losing a little bit of health. But then the so-called spike room of death is really the thing that can just murder a run if you're at low health off of Fantoon. And you're going to need to make it through that, and then all the way across the wreck ship E-tank room, which is full of water and nasty fish and spikes and, you know, other things that really can deal a lot of damage pretty quickly. The fish a little more dangerous in there than the spikes, but once they get that E-tank, you're mostly good to go. There's still dangers in attic and bowling, but mostly it's about whether you'll need to take a ship refill or not in order to get the spark through Gauntlet, more than whether or not you're actually going to die.
Good point. And while you were explaining that, Gameaholic, everybody, in case you missed it, he did something really cool. When he got to the top of the elevator coming from Norfair, he went ahead and headed back to Kraid's lair and collected the Kraid missiles with the power bomb pack that he already has. So that'll be something that he will not have to collect later when he finishes Meridia, whereas MakoBytes, that's still on the table for him. So to me, I think that is the item that I have casually forgotten the most times of any of the 100% items. So it's good to see him collect that and know for sure that he won't be missing that one.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd mention that one, because I noticed it while I was describing Wreck Ship, and that was a really cool call. I haven't seen runners choose to do that because I'm not as familiar with early Croc runs, and I just never even thought of it. Getting a little hung up here on Red Tower, but he's decided to kill a couple of the Ninja Turtles and shoot out the door, so he should be able to make it through this time. Yeah,
I like that strat, actually. I think it's really good, especially when you're a newer runner, to kill some of those guys, because it'll help you, be more consistent with your jumps up there. Now, I missed it. Did Mako collect the initial missile pack coming into Wreck Ship? Ooh, nice X Factor.
I also missed it. So I was so focused in on that Red Tower.
Yeah, me too. I hope chat can maybe throw us an assist here.
Yeah, because that's one that we've also seen runners forget, and a nice 2 X Factor from Mako there.
Well played, Mako. 2-round Fantoon. Easy every time. Great job.
And Gameaholic's going to want to get those missiles there behind Alpha PBs. We're going to see him powerbomb out that wall. Will him to go back into that room, guys.
Hopefully Gameaholic is in the chat or can hear us.
He is listening in.
But yeah, he'll need to go back down and collect the that regular missile pack behind the power bombs there, as Maniacal pointed out. If he doesn't remember to get them now, it's not the only time that he can come grab them, but it'll be a lot more of a backtrack later.
Yeah, it's a little bit out of the way to go back to Red Tower at any other point, so right now would still be the best time for him to go back and get those, and he needs to kill these big side hoppers. And choosing missiles to get the job done. And MakoBytes with pretty good health here.
Okay, he's heading down.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Very good.
So he gets another shot at the D-boost, landing right in the Vile Plume, unfortunately. But getting back over, and most importantly, he's going to be getting these missiles here that he absolutely needs, because this is 100%.
Well, nobody in chat mentioned Mako missing that missile pack, so I'm going to assume that he did not.
Yeah, we're going to be... He probably is going to take a ship refill, just after Wreck Ship, to check in on his status. We're going to want to see 115-15 from Mako, because he has not yet gotten the Kraid missiles. From Gameaholic, we're going to want to see 105-15 for counts.
Great point. Embarrassingly, I don't even know what the counts are supposed to be.
I had to relearn them, because I'm used to 85-15-10 from early Ice.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't even considered the fact that would be different depending on the route. That makes perfect sense.
I'm looking now for 115-15, because I've been fiddling around with this early Crocomire thing. And Mako making it through, getting that Wrecked Ship E-Tank. So now he should be pretty safe. Sorry, Kip, go ahead.
No, can you, because you've run the route, that does late grapple. So can you explain that? If I recall, I think that room that Mako's in right now, where he collected the wreck ship E-Tank, can be, a tougher, more trickier room without grapple.
It's the worst room in the game. Except for a few other rooms that are also bad. But yeah, that room, you have two competitive options, one of which is a little safer, but because you don't have grapple beam to get across that water there, that last jump can be pretty tricky. You either have to unequip high jump boots, make what I think is basically a frame perfect jump with high jump boots, or do a midair bomb jump where you lay a bomb, then jump back up and bomb jump yourself to the left to land, which that's a strat that requires some commitment, and I think I spent maybe 30 or 40 minutes working on it the other day before I decided to give the early croc thing a try, and I couldn't get consistent at it. It's a fairly tight window, and if you miss it, you're right down in the lake and lose in 30 seconds.
Maniacal, you just gave a really nice, exhaustive explanation for how that works. And the only thing I heard the entire time was, I just need to keep running the same route that I'm running so I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Pretty much. I mean, I did 100 runs of early ice before I tried early croc. And I did one run of early croc with 0 strat practice and not knowing the route, and I PB'd by 40 seconds. So...
Nice.
I mean, that'll give you an idea of how easy it is to lose time just bleeding with inefficient strats and trying to do, more technically demanding things.
Hey, by the way, can we get some hype in the chat for intended strats in direct ship? Gameaholic using that grapple beam to get in. I love seeing that kind of stuff. Like, sometimes if like one of the harder tricks is not working for you, you find a different way to get where you need to go. Excellent job.
Yeah, Gameaholic, farming up, getting health out of the I don't know, green atomics or whatever they are, whatever those little ghost guys are. But just, having a plan in mind for making sure that he's safe. Mako not forgetting right side attic missiles, so he is still on pace. And Gameaholic saving his one super. I don't imagine that's for Dopplering Fantoon.
So real quick, I'm sorry, did Gameaholic miss the missiles?
Man, I'm so bad at watching for those missiles, but I think he did miss them.
I think he missed them. Hopefully he will hear us, or somebody will be able to tell him to make sure to go back and get them. That room is actually harder to collect the missiles in after you kill Fantoon, because the I don't know what you call them, like the little elevator spiky, platforms are moving. But he can definitely still go back and get them, so he's not, in any danger unless he just forgets. Wow.
Oh, dang, Gameaholic. Perfect X Factor there. Textbook on that round 1. And Mako getting his sort of ceiling missiles here on his way to bowling.
I mean, I just can't say it enough. Like you mentioned earlier, Gameaholic has not really, from what you've said, he hasn't been playing Super Metroid for a super long time, but he entered the tournament and challenged himself to learn all this stuff. For him to be getting an X Factor like that on Fantoon is really great, man.
Yeah, I can't stick those X Factors consistently. Okay, it was using the super to try and kill off Fantoon, kind of like sort of a hybrid strat, like what you've been a champion of, but just not having quite enough damage in on Fantoon to get the kill. But Fantoon almost dead, and Gameaholic's health in a great situation.
Yeah, Fantoon very red, should be dead with a few more missiles here. And Mako now going bowling. I think he was only one missile shy.
Yeah, one shot away. Which, I mean, means he got all 4 particles there on that first X Factor. Just completely nailed it. And a nice Fantoon kill there from Gameaholic. So
now Mako will be heading over here to the right. The only time that I know of that you would come over here in a Super Metroid speed run of any kind would be either 100%, 100% map completion, or like a randomizer, I guess, or something. But yeah, this is not a section that a lot of runners will see very much in most of the categories. So he's going to be collecting this missile pack and then grabbing the wreck ship reserve item.
I think, and Mako, if you're listening, you can start running basically from that missile pack. You don't need to run back the whole way to get a spark here because of this conveyor. But
ooh,
I was gonna champion reserve tank RTA as another category you could run.
Well, I'm just glad that he already had speed boosters, so he didn't get locked out of picking up that item.
Yeah. Sometimes you see runners go up there without a speed booster, and then they discover that it's gravity suit, and it feels really bad.
Right.
But
now,
yeah.
Oh, Mako picking up his frog suit.
Yeah, he will be able to operate fully underwater now. And Gameaholic getting his right side supers, still has to go get his left side supers. Mako remembering the lake missiles. And we'll see if Gameaholic's getting them.
Very good.
I don't know if he was planning to do it at this point or not, but here he goes. And yep, indeed he didn't get him on the way in. Mako seeming a little indecisive there for a second. But on his way back over, we'll be able to check at the ship how he's doing relative to collecting all the items. Again, we're going to be looking for 115. Yeah, 1515. Yeah.
I don't recall Mako skipping anything during that wreck ship collection phase, but again, you know, sometimes when you're trying to watch two runners, it's easy to accidentally miss something. So hopefully he will have everything he needs.
That is 95-15-15. Something is amiss. And we saw speed missiles. Sorry, we saw Cathedral.
He didn't grab. I think he's actually okay. I think 95 is okay, isn't it? He didn't get charged at the start.
Oh, yeah, charge missiles. Charge missiles is the 5 that I was thinking of.
Yeah, I think he's fine.
Yeah, he's good. Whew. Yeah, that was, like I said, you have to, every time you change the route, you have to relearn your counts if you're going to take that refill as a check, and every little thing. And Gameaholic has made it through and is in the safe health zone pretty much for the rest of the run. MakoBytes here going to be going for a wraparound shot, choosing to turn Spazer back on to widen the window for success. He's going to be shooting down and to the right and opening a door all the way over on the left side of the screen. Looks like he hurt himself, get it? And missing the spark, going to have to go for a backup, either a really tight 2-tap or a generous, stutter 2 or 3-tap here for getting the charge to go over and spark through Gauntlet.
Yeah, and if he doesn't feel like he wants to work on this, or if he gets worried about it, which for the record, I think everybody who plays this game knows that getting these short charges can be very difficult. He can just come down here and spark up to the left and then just use power bombs. There we go. He'll just use some power bombs to knock all this stuff out, no problem.
Yeah, and this is a nice backup if you miss the strat, because sometimes you can just get caught going for that spark. But there we see the door was already open.
Looks like he's opting to use just regular missiles. That's perfectly fine too. Sometimes when runners have to do this room, without getting, there we go. They'll use power bombs. Makes it a little bit faster. And don't worry about him taking damage in the acid there, because here in about 10 seconds or less, he will be getting all of his health back from this E-tank.
Yeah, that is one of the nice things about this particular segment is, once you're through wreck ship, if you take that ship refill, you're full on health. You're going to be full on health again soon, and then he's going to fill up when he gets into Green Brinstar as well, back to Big Pink. He's going to get the Edakun's E-tank, and then he's going to get 2 E-tanks in Big Pink, and then he is going to be loaded for Bear.
Absolutely.
Gameaholic also remembering the right side attic missiles, so...
All right, here we go, Maniacal. Here's the tricky room for Mako.
Yeah, and he's lining himself up with that crack on the first row of crumble blocks so that he will knock them both out. And I think we're just going to see him take a slow ride down, and I do not blame him one bit for that.
No, I do the same exact thing.
Yeah, that, it costs a few seconds to set it up and a few extra seconds of waiting to wait it out, but having to go back around, I think costs about a minute and a half to a minute 45, depending. And so I had to run just the other day, actually, go down one side for the first time in a long while. And I can tell you, man, it does not feel great.
No, not a good feeling. Probably, I would say that or the room, the GT room, trying to get those missiles. If you miss those are two of the worst feelings in Hundo.
Yeah, like we were saying, there's not a lot of ways to actually die, but there's a ton of ways to kill the run.
Absolutely.
And that would be, sort of a very typical one is falling down one side of Gauntlet, or missing the jump here in Edicoons, falling at GT, falling through the floor at the Mickey Mouse room. There's a lot of 1 minute time losses that you can run into.
Speaking of the Edicoons, I know people talk about this all the time, and so I'm not saying anything that's new. Oh, Mako, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, Mako.
Yeah, that's always bad to see. That room, by the way, always reminds me, I actually played the original Metroid growing up, and there's a room in Kraid's Lair in the original Metroid that's exactly like that, and I think that room was sort of supposed to be acknowledging or maybe making a reference or alluding to that room. But one thing I was going to say about the Edicoons is I think everybody's had the same experience. I literally got stuck down there when I played this game casually for the first time, and I'm confident there are a lot of other people that have done the same thing.
Yeah, and we just saw Gameaholic going for the power bomb strat there in bowling, and he laid the power bomb 2 tiles too high, so we're only going to see some of the speed blocks, or some of the power bomb blocks knocked out of this Chozo statue. But yeah, I think everyone, their first playthrough has gotten trapped in Edicoons, and the Edicoons will show you how to wall jump, but that doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, it's almost as though if you're a newer player and you're having trouble, it's more like they're taunting you than they're teaching you.
Yeah, hey, check it out, we can jump off walls. Get good.
Exactly, while they sing to you.
And here we see only that top row of power bomb blocks. He would have wanted to lay that on the floor right there, sort of at the end of the spikes, before the bowling statue. So, Gameaholic, if you're listening for next time, that's what went wrong there. The power bomb just didn't quite reach. And Mako missing the mock out, but that only costs about 5 or 6 seconds. But that's what we were talking about with how 100% is such a movement-based category because it's so low variance on actually being able to complete the run, that there's just so many ways to mess up these small little strats that bleed time 5-6 seconds at a time. And this from Mako is another pit that runners can get trapped in. He's not visiting the Decoras. He's going to spark right back out. But got through A-okay. But just didn't quite jump over those speed blocks and just bled out a little bit of time.
Nice strat by Mako there, using the Shine Spark to get over to those left pink missiles. And he will now head into grab... is it a power bomb pack in here, I believe?
Yep. The Mission Impossible power bombs. We'll see if... I wouldn't expect him to go for Mission Impossible, but he did take a nice little deboost to get iframes from the spikes, which deal a little less damage than those big side hoppers.
Yeah, nice job.
It's a good choice by Mako. And Gameaholic got his Lake missiles. I think that Gameaholic is in good shape and has everything that he should to this point in the run, but we'll see if he takes that ship refill, which he doesn't have enough health to get the spark without, so Good call by him. Also a good chance to save just in case things go strangely. And yeah, 105, 15, 15. He got the charge missiles and he got the grade missiles. So Gameaholic's counts all check out.
Mako's now at one of my favorite parts of the Hundo run. I also like it because on the route that I do in RBO, I have to do basically the same thing. Getting this little, so I don't know what you call it. Like it's I guess a minor glitch where you fire the super into the wall and bust out the block. And then collecting those Spore Spawn supers and then heading back up to grab the E-Tank at the wave gate. So this is a cool segment of the run.
Yeah, interesting. You'll see runners do the early supers and the Wavegate E-Tank, or not early supers, the Spore Spawn supers and the Wavegate E-Tank, kind of in different orders depending on preference and whether or not they end up getting Mission Impossible. And so it's very common also to watch a runner who is used to getting or not getting Mission Impossible do the other thing and then forget to get one of the items or the other. And so we'll be hoping that Mako goes up here. Yeah, it looks like he's power bombing to knock out that door. Wasn't quite high enough, but yeah, he remembered to go up and get his Wavegate tank. And that was a very interesting spot for that wraparound shot from Gameaholic. I think he's standing in the wrong patch of grass, unfortunately. So yeah, he's going to want to stand. That's the one he wants right there. And so he'll be listening for that door opening. There it was.
Got it.
Nice little one-tap short charge and a horizontal spark from Gameaholic, and he's going to soar right through that room that we saw Mako have to bomb out some walls in.
Yeah, nice job, Gameaholic. That was hype.
Yeah, when I first learned Hundo, that wraparound shots weren't known at the time, and so you used to come back and do late gauntlet and come through here with screw attack and space jump. Was the strat?
Right.
And so the routing was very different.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never done that before, but it is interesting that you can move through that room a lot faster if you have both of those items in conjunction. So Mako has now completed, or is about to complete, his big pink collection, and Gameaholic hopefully... Ooh, baby, let's go!
Nailed it!
That's what I'm talking about. Nice job, game.
That's what happened to me, except I just ended up on one set of blocks and couldn't jump out and basically just beefed it.
That was exciting. So yeah, Mako has grabbed his last item, and he will now head to grab the tube missiles in Green Hills, and after that, it's Meridia time.
That is exactly it. It's tube missiles, and then Main Street's next up.
Have you ever accidentally shot a super at that door that Mako just went through because you're on autopilot?
Regularly.
Yeah, I do that like almost every single time. Oh, Mako. Oh, he didn't forget. He just picked the wrong wall. There we go.
I was getting a little worried there, but we just got jebaited. And Gameaholic readying his power bombs for going in to get the Edecuns, E-Tank, Supers, and PBs. I don't expect we'll see Blockbuster here, but it's also kind of, not too bad if you attempt it and miss it, so I wasn't sure if we'd see Mako go for it there.
Yeah, that's a really tough strat, actually.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I don't think I've ever pulled it off in a run. I've done it in practice a few times, but every time I've tried it in a run, I've never gotten it. So that's a really tough one.
Yeah, I've not gotten it in a run. I've, like you said, gotten it in practice, but I ended up getting the echoes, having the door shot open, and making the jump in my last run. And I was convinced, so used to missing it, that I just didn't even go for the soft morph.
Right.
And I was just like, come on.
Okay, Mako now officially in Meridia, and Main Street missiles here. It's one of my most nerve-wracking moments of the run. You can come up here. It's a lot safer to do this little short charge up here. So he's in good shape now. Excellent job. You can attempt to do the stutter 3-tap on the floor, but it's really tight to get.
Yeah, the floor charge is, like you said, a stutter 3, or you can do it with a 4 with no stutter, but either of those is just kind of a nightmare. Like, it's really tight. And so,
now... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you can just do a 2-tap up there and then jump down and spark up. And so that's what we saw Mako do. It's a lot more forgiving, but go ahead, Kip.
Yeah, I was just going to say, now we're in the Mama Turtle room, which features what you mentioned earlier as potentially the hardest item to find in the game for a casual experience. There's a missile pack in the right side wall, very high, and there's nowhere to be able to see it from unless you're literally riding Mama Turtle and use your X-ray. So that is one of those items that I doubt very many people ever found on their first playthrough.
Yeah, there's a small visual cue in the wall where the black shadow of the wall kind of bulges out, so it's inhomogeneous from the rest of the wall. And that's apparently what you were supposed to use to find it. But it's a very deviously placed item. And so what I was talking about earlier, where runners have kind of their own order for doing these things, we're seeing Gameaholic go and get the Wavegate E-Tank before doing the Spore Spawn Supers, since it's kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, as long as you end up with everything from over there, perfectly fine to go either way. Mako grabbing those crab supers, and I would like to point out that I think the crabs in this game might be... I think they are basically like the enemy that are most surprising how much damage they do. You just don't really think about it until you get hit by one, especially if you get hit by one like without any suits on or without any defense. I think they do 120 damage, like it's over an E-Tank's worth if you just have on the power suit. So 30, I think they do 60 to Varia and 30 to Gravity, so those things hit like a truck.
Yeah, those crabs are no joke, and I don't know what it is with Super Nintendo games and crabs that are ludicrously strong, but they continue a long and storied tradition of overpowered battle crabs. Mako having that jump, but aborting slightly shortly on his entry for these back items up here in the beach area. But overall pretty nice from Mako, and Gameaholic getting his Spore Spawn Supers, so just Waterway left for Gameaholic, and then he too will be off to Meridia.
Yeah, this room that Mako is in right here, it doesn't really look like much, but I find that room to be actually more tricky than it might appear. Like, the way those two missile packs are situated, there isn't just a super comfortable way to get both of them. So you really have to like consider how you want to wall jump or how you want to jump over so that you don't waste too much time in the air.
Yeah, that all goes back to the notion that in 100% it's just all movement optimization.
Yeah.
And so, you'll see some strats that just if a runner hasn't practiced a room as much, they'll just lose time relative to someone who's familiar with a faster strat for a lot of these rooms, especially because you don't really see a lot of these rooms in non-100% categories.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when they first start running SM, they kind of take on the mentality that, oh, well, the better players are running this strat. It's only like a second faster in this room, or it's only about a half a second faster. And what ends up happening, though, is over the course of a long run, those half seconds and full seconds end up adding up to a lot of time. So optimizing the rooms as best as you can for your skill set is actually something that's very important in this particular game when speedrunning.
Now we see MakoBytes is on to Batwoon. Looks like he has gotten Batwoon dead.
Maniacal, do you mind if I do it?
Go.
Die, monster. You don't belong in this world. Thank you. I needed to get that out of my system.
Nah, it's all good, man. You'll have one more chance at it too. I will let you fire it off again here when Gameaholic undoubtedly makes it that far.
Feels good, man.
But yeah, nice, fairly clean bot wound fight, but you know, Mako just spamming supers, tanking damage as necessary, sort of just showing how robust the gear set you have at this point in the game in 100% is. There's very little risk of actually dying, and it's all just efficiency.
Yeah, one thing that's kind of neat about, I'm going to go philosophical for a moment. One thing that's kind of neat about 100% item collection is, I want to say it was Fuzda or somebody who had a lot of experience running, like, not only obviously Super Metroid, but like a lot of the hacks and stuff too. And they kind of talked about, you know, what kind of game are the Metroid games? And it's basically, the way they're designed is that you're supposed to eventually become overpowered, right? Like, that's the way they're set up. If you think about the way Screw Attack works, if you think about the way Plasma work and stuff, it's basically like equipping yourself to become just unbelievably strong and trying to mow through everything. So it's kind of neat that in this particular category, kind of like GT Classic after you get the code, you kind of get to see that style of play, you know, come forward, as opposed to, you know, low percent or new route where you have to like avoid everything. So it's kind of cool to see them be able to just crush through all these enemies and move very quickly through a lot of the rooms with their items.
Yeah, I mean, they get what is arguably, strat-wise, the most powerful item in the game in Spring Ball here, late in Meridia. And there are so many strats that just open up as far as great movement for the back to run.
Absolutely. And the combination of Space Jump and Screw Attack together is such a comfort when you finally get to Screw Attack in Lower Norfair.
Yeah, Screw Attack and Space Jump drastically change how you are going to handle Lower Norfair as a runner. Mako looks like he's going for the grapple kill on Dragon combined with some speed strats.
Oop, looks like we got some Mama Turtle hype over here.
Oh, Gameaholic must have harassed one of the Totori juniors and woken up the big Totori here. She is angry, and Gameaholic's going to try and grapple onto this E-Tank, and getting it, no real problem there, and collecting the E-Tank.
Mako, unfortunately, not able to grapple the wall outlets there on this particular cycle of Dragon. It actually can be tricky. I found it more tricky on the right side than on the left.
Yeah, on the right, your best shot is sort of angling down and shooting through the platform that you're using to enter or exit the room. Whereas what Mako's doing now, shooting straight to the left when Dragon's facing this way, is more forgiving for getting latched onto this upper wall port that we see successfully now. Yeah,
I was starting to get a little nervous.
Yeah, with his current health situation, it was starting to get a little low, but he makes it through A-okay.
Good to see. Yeah, Dragon can be, for those of you that might have some experience with RBO, if Dragon is not in a good mood and feels the need to hit you multiple times while she has you in her clutches, it can be quite frustrating.
Yeah, there's a lot of RNG associated with that Dragon fight, just in terms of what patterns you get, when Dragon is going to, to go through a spanking attack once you're grabbed, if you get grabbed. There's a lot of RNG involved.
Real quick, Gameaholic did not grab the beach missiles, I believe is what they're called. That's not such a huge problem. It's just that most people will grab them, on the way in as opposed to the way out. So hopefully he either is aware that they're over there, or if he forgot, hopefully he will remember or hear us prior to heading back out of this room here.
Yeah, I think that I've seen runners recently go for beach missiles on exit. I hadn't seen it until a couple days ago, but there's been a few instances of 100% runs in this tournament, and so it's been fun to watch what everyone's doing, just different strats that runners are choosing to take. So hopefully he's going for them on his exit. Mako getting his health filled up here with that Batoon E-Tank that he left for just this reason. And all the way back to, what, almost 1200 health?
Probably a little more health than he's going to need for the rest of the run. But yeah, absolutely. It's funny just how much you end up with in this particular run.
And sure enough, there he goes and gets those beach missiles on the exit, and I think that was probably part of the plan.
Maniacal, if you don't mind, I'm going to need to take just like maybe a minute or two real quick. I will be right back.
Yeah, sure thing, Kip.
Thank you.
See, MakoBytes here, grabbing his aqueduct items. This is another one of those items that you can grab, or another pair of items, but one of those item locations that you can visit. And actually, we might get a high five here, because it looks like Gameaholic's getting them early. Like I was going to say, a few different times you can possibly grab these. And so, Gameaholic doing them before Batoon and Dragon. And then you need to pass by that 2 more times as you're going through each of these sand pits as you finish the Meridia cleanup after the Dragon fight. And so we'll see Gameaholic go up and head over to Batoon. So hopefully Kip makes it back in time for the end of the Batoon fight here for Gameaholic. If not, I'll have to stand in, but I'm not nearly as good at it as he is. In the meanwhile, we see MakoBytes on his way over to Shock Tool. He's going to have to grapple out this block and then space jump up, or that's what he is going to do. And we'll get a Die Monster, You Don't Belong in This World, for Gameaholic, as Mako is going to go visit Shock Tool, my favorite worker robot on the planet.
Thank you, Maniacal, by the way. I got the phone call mini-boss, but was able to dispatch quickly, so appreciate it.
GG. Hope it was a PB. It was pretty quick, so...
Yeah.
You got some real competitive gold split phone calls. Unfortunately, you missed Gameaholic on his Batoon game, a very quick Batoon kill, so I had to stand in for you there.
Sounds good. Also, looks like the chat filled in for me. Thank you for the Die Monsters, everybody. Looks like everybody here is well versed in the traditional Super Metroid dialogue. So it's really cool to see the Super Metroid added that type of dialogue into video gaming history.
Yeah, it's an homage to a game that came out years later. Crazy enough. Dear Force New is all I can say.
Indeed. Now I've got a question for you. Gameaholic just collected, I believe, what's called the Precious Missiles. Is that right?
That's correct. This is the Precious Room.
Can you explain to me why?
Sorry? Can I explain?
Yeah, like why is it called that? I never actually knew that until I heard you doing commentary the other day on it.
Missiles are in the Precious Room. It was a typo from an old SRL race. I do not remember to whom it's attributed. And so I'm sure folks in the chat who know the history better than me can fill us in. But someone was saying they skipped the item in the previous room, but they struck their C key instead of their V key.
Nice.
With something to that effect. Looks like Slaughter's saying that it was ED. And actually, speaking of phone call boss, Kip, I'm going to have to leave this one in your capable hands for just a minute. Sorry about that, if that's all right.
Absolutely no problem. Just know that I've already set a good time for you, so take your time.
I mean, you're going to crush me. There's no way I can beat this, but I'll be right back.
Go right ahead, man. So MakoBytes now heading over to Plasma Beam. This is my least, or one of my least favorite rooms in the game. I believe this is called is it the Cassius room? something like that. I call it vertical pancakes. I've also heard people call it pancake tower. But those pancakes are another one of those types of creatures in this game that do more damage than you might would think. Gameaholic now, heading up after dispatching of Dragon and getting Space Jump. And we'll now head back the reverse way through Coliseum. One thing that a lot of newer runners or newer people might not be aware of is that Space Jump is the item that allows you to press jump in midair and continue your space jump, but the mechanics or the physics of space jump in water, like especially Meridia, are actually different, and you can sort of spam them and get a lot of different space jumps in very quickly. So it's a lot easier to use space jump in Meridia, whereas if you're just in the normal air, it can be a bit of a troll item. Mako choosing to head over here to the left and just go ahead and straight down this sand pit here.
Yeah, and this is not a sand pit I see used all that often, so thank you for holding it down while I was away there for a minute, Kip.
You know, I think in the race between me and you for the phone calls, I have to say I think I came in second place.
Nah, dude, you crushed it. You crushed it even with when I actually got back, which was before I started talking. Your phone call was world record time.
Well, Sloters is declaring you the world record holder, and you know Sloters is the #1 seed in this tournament, so it's hard to argue against that.
Well, if it's a Sloters opinion, I think it might just have to be a draw.
There we go. I'm willing to take it. So MakoBytes now heading back to the Botwoon E-Tank area, and we'll now head back to, I believe, Aqueduct before heading down to grab. I think what is left. We're going to be getting.
Left sand pit.
Yeah, left sand pit, which is what, a reserve tank and a missile pack?
Correct.
Cool.
You got to study up and learn this for Dab, man. You got to know where all 40 of those Meridian missiles are.
I just realized, dude, that think about the irony that apparently Speedruns Live has declared our race a tie for our phone calls.
I mean, it's all about when that .done goes in, man. It can look very different on the phone bill.
That's true.
You don't .done. And Gameaholic here with a very interesting strat, storing a charge to get that pseudo screw to get through those bats there on his way up to Spring Ball. I hadn't seen that previously. That's a really nice sort of safety take there.
Dude, props to him for that. I had never even considered doing that, and I used to, like, you know, when I first started doing speedruns of this game, like, I hadn't watched any videos and I was just kind of guessing, and I would always go get Spring Ball and didn't realize that I didn't have to. And I never once thought to do that. It's really cool to see newer players like learn mechanics and then interpret them, you know, in their own way.
Yeah, we expect to see the things that we have seen hundreds of times before, and then, you know, new people coming in with new ideas about how to best execute, and a lot of times the ideas are, you know, if not more efficient, at least competitive, and often offer some advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mako now has to go and collect Kraid missiles, whereas we talked about earlier, Gameaholic does not. It looks like Mako is going to elect to grab them on the way out of Lower Norfair. I have seen, you know, several runners do that. I usually elect to grab them first, just because I want to make sure that I have them. But it's certainly not going to be a problem for him to just run over there and grab them when he's done with Lower Norfair.
Yeah, I think the only time I've grabbed them on my way out from Lower Norfair was one really bizarre run where I was out of super missiles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have no idea how I ran out of super missiles. This was probably like a year ago, but I had to get them on the way out, and so like it messed with my splits, and it wasn't great. But Mako getting his ice beam, making his way down. He's going to go get the missiles out of the wall here over on his way to Croc Speedway, as Gameaholic goes up to get Plasma Beam.
Yeah, so one thing I love about 100% item collection is that you are forced to take the southern route out of the ice escape. And as soon as I say that, Mako showing me that I am 100% incorrect. Okay, now he's backtracking. You need to go down here. Yeah, that was the hardest debated I've ever been in my entire life. But basically, he needs to come down here because there's a missile pack in the wall. And this is actually a really tricky missile pack to pick up. And now we're seeing why.
Yeah, we'll see just how much time this missile pack costs when you mess it up the first time. There's a couple backups to this, but realistically, you know, the spark that I was expecting him to use for a horizontal spark there is the safest way to do it, because then you can just spam shoot. But he got that Sova frozen on the block and was able to use that as a stepping stone. That's one of the nicer backups there.
Yeah, there's no bones about it. That one is a tough one. It's really easy to just make a little tiny error and lose a bunch of time on that item. It's kind of like Indiana Jones. It's like you just make one mistake and then the next thing you know, it's plus 15, you know?
Yeah, and did you see that in Croc Speedway from Mako? He kind of let go of his speed a little early and like clipped through that last block. It didn't break the top block.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I'd never seen that happen before.
Strange things can happen in this game when you accidentally get like frame perfect inputs, you know?
Yeah, very calculated. And Gameaholic making sure that he has enough ammo here, farming up the cacks on the reverse cack attack alley as Mako's going down and doing the lower Norfair entry.
So one little bit of trivia that I was not aware of until I ran some randomizers this summer is that the room that MakoBytes is heading to over here to the left on his way to enter, you know, Golden Chorizo's room, the sort of more traditional way or the more intended way, he's going to have to get in ball form and get inside the Chorizo statue's hand. And apparently that will not trigger the acid to exit the room or to drain unless you have space jump. So if you were to come down to Lower Norfair and would want to collect, you know, screw attack or fight GT, you literally could not do that this way unless you already had space jump. That's why people have to green gate glitch and go in the backwards way.
Yeah, and this is one part of why you have to do Dragon before you do Ridley in this category.
Yep, that's a great point, man.
Is exactly for this one missile pack right here, and I like that Mako's in a ball. It says he's going to use spring ball safety strats here.
Very good.
As long as he holds jump, he will not fall through that floor.
And for the record, if you ever run 100% items for more than, you know, a handful of runs, you will fall down there at some point or another.
And Gameaholic seeming a little uncertain about how to best go about getting the reserve tank and the missile pack here, but has found his way in, verified that those are crumble blocks, and is just going to need to jump through safely. And this is one of those things where if you fall through there, that costs right around 10 seconds to go around, no matter what you do. And so it's another one of those potential time losses just from seemingly simple mistakes to make.
Yeah, and I mean, people kind of meme around a little bit about Spring Ball, but the simple reality is that it actually is an incredibly powerful item and can do certain things that other items literally cannot. Even though it's great in a speedrun, it's especially good in randomizers. You can do all kinds of neat things with Spring Ball, but being able to just basically hold the jump button and jump off of crumble blocks has a lot of different uses in a lot of areas of this run. So cool to see some Spring Ball tech.
Yeah, that has me wondering if you had Spring Ball, could you make it across Noob Bridge? I've never tried.
I guess so. If you just held it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you'd bounce into the spikes, and so I'm worried if you just held jump and right, for instance, would you make it across Noob Bridge? Or
I guess
would you get knocked back?
I guess if you had enough health, maybe you would be able to continually go like slightly forward.
And MakoBytes remembering one of the easy-to-forget items here in the Mickey Mouse missiles.
Hold on now, Maniacal. We don't want to cease and desist now.
I didn't say he didn't screw it up. I just said he remembered it.
No, just don't say Mickey Mouse. So those are the Mighty Mouse missiles.
Okay. What about Dead Mouse missiles?
That'll work too. I think there's even a dead mouse, or at least there used to be a dead mouse emote, so that would work.
Okay. The vaguely mouse-shaped room missiles.
There you go. Perfect. Now we can avoid having Feasel get hit with a lawsuit from Disney.
My commentary privileges will be revoked faster than Ponks.
Yeah, this VOD's getting muted ASAP. Come on, come on, Maniacal.
Clearly, I need to be a little more careful.
So jokes aside, real quick, one thing to note, the rooms that Mako is going through right now in Lower Norfair, even in Old Route can be, more difficult, but especially in a lot of the other categories like New Route or Low Ice or RBO or something like that, they can be very tricky. One thing that makes them very tricky is, that most categories you don't have screw attack, but when you have screw attack, it makes these rooms way more comfortable. Like, I think a lot of times people forget just how powerful screw attack is because you very, very rarely get it in a lot of categories. But in 100%, you can just roll right through these rooms and just jump into every single creature, other than the metal pirates here. And so it's really cool to be able to take advantage of that and get some fast room times.
Yeah, and that's another part of why runs tend to make it to completion if people are so inclined once they get past the spike room in 100% is, and Mako almost getting that Flower House.
So close.
He had the tough part.
And here in a second, we'll have both runners once again in the same section of the game, Gameaholic, one room away from Lower Norfair, as Mako begins his Ridley fight.
Yeah, Ridley, like most bosses in 100%, much, much comfier than all of the other categories, pretty much, except maybe GT Classic. Where just, you have enough health, you can, stand in the acid, you're going to get an E-Tank anyway. It's only 20 shots. You have infinite supers anyway.
Yeah, didn't you tell me one time that you started with 100%? Is that correct?
Yeah, 100% was the first Super Metroid speedrun I learned.
And I think you told me something like, you were like, man, Ridley's really not that bad, and like worst room of the game's really not that bad. And then it turns out that like when you have significantly less E-Tanks, it becomes way more Monka-S.
Oh yeah, I mean that was my thought. Is I heard people talking about worst room of the game. Like, I wonder which one that is. No, the worst room of the game. I mean, there's that obnoxious one in Wrecked Ship, I guess.
And in terms of the storyline, we can see that the baby Metroid is nowhere to be found.
Where did it go?
I wonder where it could be.
And no! Gameaholic's gonna have to go back for those. That's for next time. Why that spring ball strat is so valuable with such a small time cost.
Yeah, and to the point about spring ball, that's one of those moments where I realize everybody's trying to go as fast as they can in their speed runs, but especially for a category like this where you're collecting 100 items, it's probably going to be like an hour and a half or more of a run, roughly. Sometimes it's sort of safer to just kind of take a 1 or 2 second time loss to be very safe, because what ends up happening here is he's now going to have to spend, I would say, maybe a minute and 20 or something. Maybe not that much, but it's a pretty big amount of time that he's going to have to spend going back, even just to get in there to begin with, much less collect and then exit again.
Yeah, and so the quickest way for him to do that is to go up right here and sort of go back around. We'll see if, yeah, it looks like he's setting up to do that. I don't know if that power bomb's high enough to, yeah, not quite.
Well, it's okay. He's got plenty.
Yeah. It's 100% after all.
Whoa, did you see that pirate just like standing there on nothing?
Yeah, normally that guy falls down. That was... It might have been that he'd already started the attack animation.
I'm afraid... Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we're going to have to... Gameaholic's run will be invalidated here. Clearly, there's some cheating going on by having that pirate be able to stand on absolutely nothing.
Oh, and there it is, the spring ball strat from Gameaholic.
Yeah. What's the banned emulator?
It's some versions of ZSNES, I think, and I think there might be one or two others. You ask me questions about 100... Oh, oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, Gameaholic's in good shape. I looked at the wrong screen for a second, but yeah. You ask me questions about 100%, and I know these things, but emulator, I don't know a lick about them.
Yeah, I don't either.
I tried to play on emulator once or twice, and it just was not the same.
Yeah, shout outs to anybody using emulators. It's a lot tougher to be able to play the game with the input lag. So I used to do that with my Wii U. That's how I learned how to run the game at first, and once I finally got a Super Nintendo, it was way more comfy. So shout outs to anybody out there who gets frustrated from time to time with the lost inputs or the delay.
Yeah, we have some runners, in the community who are very good runners, who aren't on console, and I have so much respect for those people who are, running on Virtual Console or Super Nintendo Classics or emulators or whatever it may be, because honestly, it's pretty challenging, and I mean, you can get used to it, but it's a setback.
The good news is that Gameaholic just got done collecting his Tri-Circles missile pack.
Yeah, the Venn diagram missiles.
That's right.
Yeah, those are some of my favorites. If you fall through the floor there, really, you kind of end up going out of the way.
Everybody loves a good Venn diagram.
I got nothing to say. I was trying to think of some smart-ass comment, but I just got nothing. Well,
Mako, I believe, collected all the items. I didn't see him miss anything. The last item that he's collected there was the Three Musketeer missiles. Gameaholic now heading over to Power Bombs of Shame, and now Mako is going to collect the final room in Bubble Mountain. I mentioned earlier in the run that there are 3 kind of areas where you get items from Bubble Mountain, and they collected 2 of the 3 earlier on their first venture here, and this is the last. They always wait until Lower Norfair is over. Having Plasma, Screw Attack, and Space Jump makes a lot of these rooms a lot faster, and there's also like a sort of a hidden missile pack at the bottom of Bubble Mountain. And so he'll grab that on his way out as well.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this room, it's pretty apparent why it's one that folks would want to leave until they have more gear than what they had on the first pass. There's a ton of enemies, a pool of lava, a bunch of like one-tile blocks. It's not a very casual-friendly room.
No, not at all.
And Gameaholic just running across that acid pool, making his way over to Ridley. And Mako remembering the last Bubble Mountain item. It's actually in the main Bubble Mountain room.
Yeah, doing a good job. Unless I've missed something, I don't recall Mako missing any items so far in terms of that he hasn't gone back to pick up. Although be reminded that the next thing that he is supposed to pick up is the Kraid missiles, because he opted to not pick them up after Meridia. So hopefully he will remember as soon as he gets to Business Center and heads up the elevator.
Yeah, and in early ice routes, this is where runners would go down and do the Crocomire cleanup here after having done Lower Norfair.
Gameaholic fighting Ridley here. Once again, needing 20 charge shots here with Plasma Wave and Ice.
So far, so good. His health is in a reasonable situation. So
yeah, he's doing good.
Fighting Ridley very similarly to how I do. I just kind of hold that R button and go, because I'm kind of a mess at this fight. It's one that I need to put more time into.
Mako remembering to grab the Kraid missiles. That's good to see. Gameaholic is now dispatched of Ridley. Excellent job. Ridley, a really tricky boss, especially like when you first start running this game. Very, very tricky, tough boss, and I think casually he's really difficult. So good to see him get past that, and now he will start to make his exit of Lower Norfair while collecting the last, I think, maybe 3 or 4 items he has to grab.
Yeah, just Ridley's patterns can be very, very unpredictable or difficult to manipulate. I think most runners don't really learn how to do a good Ridley until they start working on something like RBO or low percent categories.
Yeah, he's got a lot of different things with his AI, and you know, depending on what category and what your sort of, I guess, equipment is, a lot of different ways to fight him. But Mako will now be heading over to, I think the next item that he's going to grab is X-Ray. So he will head up to Red Tower and then use some power bombs to open up the orange door and collect X-Ray Scope. And X-Ray Scope can actually be a really tricky item in this category because, you know, from this point forward, you know, a lot of runners, especially if they're newer, won't utilize item deselect as much as they will just like cycling through with their item select button. And if you do that with X-Ray up there, what is eventually going to happen is it's going to get selected and stop you dead in your tracks as you hold the run button. So hopefully it won't, you know, cause too many issues for the runners here from here on out.
Yeah, I've seen that happen at inopportune times. My favorite from a Schadenfreude perspective was watching someone do it in rando doing a heated run while they were headed down Croc Speedway.
Oh my
midway
god!
Through the blocks, and it felt so bad.
Yeah, that's awful.
So yeah, X-Ray will stop your momentum.
Gameaholic grabbing the next to last energy tank of the run. He does have one more reserve tank to grab as well from Bubble Mountain, but he grabbed the Firefleet E-Tank there, and the next one that, or I guess the last one that will be grabbed for this entire run is in Blue Brinstar. So that's where Mako will be heading right now.
Comically enough, it's very possible that someone would actually get that E-Tank first. Just in terms of if you decide to go back down the elevator and collect it by, you know, deboosting and out to get it out of the ceiling.
Yeah. I actually did that in my RBO PB. The RBO PB that I had from this summer until about a month ago actually did exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I did it the first couple times I ran Crocomire RTA as well, just to have the extra E-Tank for that hell run.
Oh, that's smart.
And for Mako, it looks like he might have laid that power bomb just almost half a tile too far to the left.
Oh, too bad.
It needs to be kind of on the right half of that dark blue block in order to get all those blocks out.
Oh, there was the X-Ray. Gameaholic now, I mentioned this earlier, and I've said it before in other commentary, but this room with the Three Musketeers is one of those rooms that in Hundo it feels like nothing whatsoever. You just, you know, you can just spin jump straight into those guys and kill them, or even shoot them with plasma. In just about every other category, this is a terrifying room. So screw attack making all the difference.
Yeah, the first couple times I tried to do any percent Lower Norfair after, you know, quite a bit of 100%, it felt so drastically different, and is so drastically different just because you don't have all this sweet gear. And so the runners at this point, like we've said over and over, very safe. It's only time losses that can end runs, other than potentially soft locking Mother Brain, but we don't talk about that.
So, be honest with me, Maniacal. Have you ever, Mako just finished collecting both of the missiles from the Billy Mays room. Have you ever accidentally forgotten to grab one of those?
Not since having intent to go in and get all of them has that ever happened to me. I guess it's possible that I didn't find one of them the first visit to that room, like when I was playing the game casually as a kid.
Right.
But never in a speed run.
Well, I actually thought that I would never have that happen to me as well. And during my preparation for this tournament, when I was practicing some hundo, I managed to miss those missiles. And the funniest part is that I was literally, at the moment I was in the room, talking about how I hoped if I got 100% in this tournament, I wouldn't just accidentally miss some random item, and then I just walked right over it.
Oh man, I hope there's a clip of that somewhere. And I hope that you shot the block out and got the one out of the floor.
No.
Left the one sitting there in the middle of the room.
No, definitely not.
And Mako making his way over to the Mother Brain missiles. There are only a couple items left. There's the Climb Supers, and then the 230 missiles left for Mako, and that should be all 100 items, so we're almost out of fanfare time. And Gameaholic, meanwhile, has made it through Lower Norfair, done the escape, sort of cleaned up the Bubble Mountain area, and is on his way back up.
Mako entering one of my least favorite rooms. This one could be quite tricky. Oh, unfortunately. There we go. Okay, now he's able to refreeze them. Oh, very nice. Just in time.
Yeah, he got that pretty quickly. The worst is if you accidentally trap yourself underneath one of those frozen guys, just in the acid, and you just have to wait for him to unfreeze.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
It feels horrible.
So Mako now, unless I'm mistaken, he literally only has one item left to collect. Is that right, Maniacal?
I believe so. I believe that is right.
And you called it the 230 missiles. Can you explain that one?
Yeah, so the total number of missiles you collect, the maximum ammo count, and you can see he's got 225 right now. This will get him to 230, which has led to a bunch of other endearing names for this room, mostly related to 230 sounding like tooth hurty.
You know what, dude?
Calling it dental plan and all sorts of stuff.
Like, I'm not even joking right now. I had, like, this shit goes to show you how much I know about Hondo. Like, I've you know, obviously run it, but I don't really pay much attention. I had no idea that 230 missiles was the actual maximum. I thought that people called it 230 simply for the tooth hurty. I really thought that was the reason. You just educated me really big right there. Thank you very much.
And you're absolutely welcome. Anyone who's in those shoes. I
can't believe I didn't know that.
But what we see from Mako is a perfect 230 50-50. He's gotten all of the quote-unquote minor item or ammunition pickups. And so if he were to pause the game right now and check his equipment menu, we'd be able to verify that he does in fact have all 100 items. But
all right.
That's a great sign.
So now he just needs to finish up Torian and bring this thing home.
Yeah, it looks like Mako will be getting to G4 right around 139, high 138 here. So it's going to be looking at an upper 140 for Mako.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what Mako's PB is. Do you happen to?
I'll take a look on Deer Tier and see if I can find it.
Yeah, I actually, just kind of hopped in here with you after the race had already started last minute, so I didn't get a chance to look and see what times the racers had in these categories. But Mako's looking to put up a pretty solid time. Gameaholic going through doing his blue Brinstar cleanup, getting the ceiling E-tank. Gonna have to go up and get the 2 missiles out of Billy Mays, and also this 1 missile right over here.
Looks like Mako's PB and 100% item collection is a 145, so I don't think he's going to be able to get that in this particular run, but he's certainly within a few minutes of his PB, which is great for a race scenario, or excuse me, a race scenario.
Yeah, that's really solid. I mean, only a couple minutes off a PB. That's pretty much what I'm looking for if I'm racing 100%. Just because there's so many places to, bleed time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice room 2 grouping there from Mako and Gameaholic, remembering both missile packs in the Billy Mays room. And Gameaholic with 220 missiles right now. You count the Mother Brain missiles and the 230 missiles, and that means Gameaholic will also be at least in good position to confirm that he has all of the missile packs.
Yeah, and I don't remember him missing any other items, so it's really nice to see both runners be in a position to actually get 100% items. It's never a good feeling when you spend all this time collecting everything and doing stuff, and then you end up with 99% or something. So I'm going to be really happy to see both of them complete the run.
Yeah, and if Gameaholic doesn't take a ship safety and check ammo, one thing that I'd like to see personally is maybe taking that save at the top of Torian, just so that if he got to the end of the credits and saw that 99. If he knew what he was missing, he'd have an opportunity to go and fix it. But, I mean, realistically, in this sort of race situation, if he's certain that Mako has all the items, he's just trying to finish up quickly, so...
Mako getting a really nice start to the baby skip there, but baby skip is a really, really tough trick to pull off, and you will even see top caliber players, miss it all the time, so... certainly no shame in missing a baby skip.
Yeah, and Gameaholic, unfortunately, having a little bit of trouble here, but getting those guys frozen and getting the charge here is a little bit of a backup, just kneeling and shooting.
Yeah, nice backup strat.
Plasma beam. Plasma and Wave teaming up to go right through and freeze all of those guys.
I'm telling you, man, some of the things that he's doing as backups to his main strats, I've never even considered doing them, and are actually would be faster than some of the things that I've done in the past. So this is cool. It just goes to show you that it doesn't matter how long you've been playing. There's different ways to sort of see the game, if you will.
And the 230 missiles are being blown by right now.
Oh, game, please, if you can hear us, please turn around.
Please go get those 230 missiles.
Before you go to Torian, at least. Head back over there and grab those missiles on the left side of, not Cathedral, but of...
Parlor.
Parlor, there you go.
$225 is not the number you want to see, Gameaholic. Please go back.
Hopefully, he's had a couple of items in the past that he forgot, but then picked up, before he exited. So hopefully he will figure it out before, this whole Golden 4 statues thing finishes, and he'll just immediately backtrack to go grab them.
Yeah, he's got this this whole cutscene here for these statues for us to will him to go back, and it looks like he's shooting the door like he knows. So, I think that our pleas have reached Gameaholic.
Mako starting his Mother Brain 2 fight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say the same. Yeah, meanwhile, Mako onto Mother Brain 2. It's going to be 20 shots to trigger that Hyper Beam cutscene. We'll see if Mako decides to go for a stand-up glitch or not. I know You want to tell us a little bit about your race philosophy on stand-up glitch?
No, I don't want to give away my secrets, Maniacal.
Okay, well...
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll be glad to talk about it. Luckily, before I do, Gameaholic looks like he does remember to go grab the 230 missiles. So luckily, he'll grab that before he goes to Torian and be in line to get 100%. But yeah, this is just sort of my personal philosophy. I did this, I did the same thing in the randomizer tournament, which is races are not speed runs. And what I mean by that is, yes, you're trying to go as fast as you can. Oh, Mako. Did Mako hit Mother Brain too many times? Where did he last save?
I think at the ship he refilled on his way down to Torian after to verify the items. Yeah, he saved right before Mother Brain, so he's perfectly fine. Oh, it was right before Mother Brain, even better. But yeah, I missed what happened.
Yes,
I looked away to check something on Deer Tier.
Yeah, I actually don't know exactly what happened either. I assume either getting ready for stand-up, he might have run into her too many times, or maybe he took too much damage before the Rainbow Beam. But basically, this is a perfect opportunity for me to say what I was about to say anyway, which is, this is not a normal speed run. Your goal is not to get a PB or to run to go the fastest you individually can and take a bunch of risks. The only goal that you really have, it's a zero-sum game. It's to beat the opponent. And so if you either think or know for sure that you are significantly ahead of your opponent, it doesn't really make sense to me to do something that could put you in harm's way. So, for example, in this situation, Mako is far enough ahead of Gameaholic that there is really no reason to attempt a stand-up glitch, because it will save you a little bit of time in terms of your time, but at the same time, it's adding the possibility that you could accidentally soft lock or something like that. So that's just kind of my philosophy when racing. I don't necessarily, expect everybody to follow that, but I do think it's a good idea. If if your intention is simply to beat your opponent, what you would rather do is, remove variance from your run and give yourself the highest likelihood of success.
Yeah, I mean, you've pretty much summed it up perfectly, where, I mean, it's just about the different goals of a race versus a speed run.
Exactly.
And so it looks like, yeah, here Mako is A-okay. Maybe going for stand-up, maybe not.
He damaged himself down to 332 health, so I think he's just dancing a little bit here.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see until I was watching the health go down in Hyper Beam. I didn't catch if he still had Vari on or not.
Yeah, I would like to point out that the #1 seed Sloters is in chat right now, encouraging newer runners to skip bosses if you're behind. Not everybody is a prodigy and can skip an entire boss, forget about it, go to G4, remember it, go back and kill it, and still actually win the race or tie. So while someone of Sloters' caliber can do that, I would not recommend it for newer players.
I think while we're on that topic, we need to talk about the importance of always going for Blue Bomber. I think I would like to see both MakoBytes and Gameaholic attempt Blue Bomber here on their Torian escape.
Yeah, I think that's a must.
And Gameaholic with the pause there and facing left, we have double babies on the screen, so always a good run when that happens.
This was a really nice race, the runners are really not that far apart. For both of them to be in Torian and, either fighting Mother Brain or heading to Mother Brain after finishing the Metroid rooms at the same time, especially for a run of this length, is really good.
Yeah, I mean, no major deaths. Mako had that small little Mother Brain hiccup, but Gameaholic was able to, get cleanly through Fantoon, and especially that Crocomire fight where there was a little bit of tension. It's been a very nice race.
Absolutely. And Mako looking at a low 150, probably like a low 151, or either maybe like a mid 150 here.
Yeah, probably a 150-40, something like. but Gameaholic onto the Zeb skip, choosing not to take the save there before Mother Brain. And Mako nailing the blue bomber. There it was. If you blinked, you missed it.
Easy every time.
So validating his run and going through into the Leodox room. We should all be so lucky to have rooms named after us. And Gameaholic through Mother Brain 1 onto Mother Brain 2, still with all 230 missiles. I think the climb is so, well known a name, but I think there's a motion to maybe call it the True Moss room.
Oh. Yeah. Alright, I gotta give a shout out to my boy Mako here. Choosing to save the frames and kill the animals like a good speedrunner always should. And he has officially done in SRL with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 38 seconds. Now that will not be completely official until we get to the final item count screen. And it says 100%, but I think we can safely assume that he got all the items. So GG to Mako, and excellent race.
Yes, absolutely. GG MakoBytes. Assuming that all of the items are, acquired as we think they are. And it looks like Gameaholic may be going for stand-up here. And yeah, Gameaholic is showing some swag here with stand-up. But that will move MakoBytes on to 1 and 2 in the tournament, assuming that all 100 items have been acquired.
Yeah, and with Mako's completion, we'll even kind of go ahead and say it now before the end. You should definitely give each of these runners a follow and support what they're doing. I think everybody here who either watches the game or runs the game knows that it takes an immense amount of work to be able to learn how to run this game, especially with multiple categories. So both of those guys putting in a lot of good work, making a lot of improvements. I really want to give a shout out to Gameaholic here because, as we mentioned before, Maniacal, and just an immense amount of respect for someone to come into a game as challenging as this and, enter the tournament, play in front of hundreds of people, learn not only just one category but multiple in a short span of time. It's really cool to see people challenge themselves like this and be committed to it. So big props to Gameaholic for his participation in this tournament.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll say also specific props to MakoBytes. One of the sort of coolest moments on stream for me in terms of watching Super Metroid was watching Mako finally break through and nail the sub-hour any % goal that he'd been grinding for a long time.
Yeah, that was very exciting.
And so that was just absolutely great to watch. So give these guys a follow. There's so much good Super Metroid content to watch, and these guys are absolutely purveyors of exactly that. And what I'll say with Gameaholic, presumably going to 03 here, is that as Swiss begins to sort of further stratify these brackets, he'll be playing other players with an 03 record in the next round. And so we'll be getting matches between some of the newer runners in the community, and those matches are going to be, if not as hype, comparably hype to some of the top billing matches. Oh,
big time. Yeah, it's super cool to see people run, like similar times.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to watch as this tournament proceeds into the 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds, how these matches are just going to get better and better as players get more and more sort of equal in skill.
Absolutely. So big props to Gameaholic here for completing this and getting 100% items, which we are pretty confident that he does based on the amount of ammo that he has. So awesome to see him bring this home. And here shortly we will see Mako's percentage. Doing 100% item collection, still getting the good ending. GG to Mako. Show me that 100%.
Here it comes. Let's see. Your rate for collecting items is 100%. There it is.
Let's go, baby.
GG MakoBytes. Congratulations on what is now an official win.
And Gameaholic now on the last room of the run, doing the right thing, saving the frames, killing the animals, and he is officially done with an SRL time of 1 hour, 56 minutes, 58 seconds, which was improved his personal best by 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So that's a PB for Gameaholic. Excellent job, man. Great run.
And I think maybe you gave his old PB there as the official time. It looks like he has a 154 something.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, that was the old
4
one.
minutes behind Mako.
Yeah, my bad. 154.42, beating his old record by 2:16. That's awesome, man. Great job.
But yeah, we will get to watch out the credits here. And I apologize, we kind of missed the opportunity for Deer Forces for MakoBytes, but we'll have an opportunity for Gameaholic here coming up. 121 in-game time. Very nice run from Gameaholic.
Yeah, great job. And by the way, I don't know exactly when this is going to cut away. We have a Super Mario Sunshine tournament that's going to be up next on Speed Gaming 4. And so, you know, we won't have time to do interviews or anything like that. But I'll just go ahead and sort of say my goodbyes and end here just in case they need to cut away at some point. But Maniacal, thank you for coming on to do commentary with me, man. I really appreciated it. It made my job, you know, way easier. And thank you to everybody who watched. This is, you know, the next to last day of the third round of the tournament. We got 3 more rounds to go before we cut it to the final 8. I'm really excited to see more races and see what happens with this thing. So, Maniacal, I will let you have the last word, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kip, for letting me join you, and thank you to MakoBytes and Gameaholic for the great runs and letting us commentate. Thank you to the chat. And so if you enjoyed this, I of course encourage you to give both the runners, MakoBytes and Gameaholic, a follow, as well as Speed Gaming's 1 through 12. Lots of good races going on, as Kip said. Super Mario Sunshine coming up here shortly. So I will say my piece now. And if we get cut off, we get cut off. Otherwise, enjoy the credits, listen to the music, get those Deer Forces in chat, and root on Gameaholic as we get that 100% confirmation. But thank y'all, and see you next mission.